It's the Score North Twin Show.
Judd with a brilliant idea for a new segment here. We're going to unveil it today, in addition to our random twin of the week on this Friday. Score North Twin Show. Dex Dishes. So our guy Declan, the resident beat podcaster on the Score North Twin Show, which you can subscribe to the new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel as well. Click that like button, the subscribe button. We're almost to 3,000 subscribers on this brand new channel, so thank you guys. Declan collects all sorts of observations and news and notes and nuggets, and once or twice a week, we have a new clearing ground, thanks to Judd's brilliant alliteration here. It's time for Dex Dishes from the Twins clubhouse. A little notebook-style dumping of whatever is in Declan's notebook. Let's do like 10, 12 minutes, and then we'll do a random twin of the week and get people on their way to a Timberwolves Game 3 tonight.
Yeah, this dish, it's like a wok. You know, like one of those big woks. I'm just mixing everything in this fancy
shoveling it in our
a
mouths.
little bit. Let's start with this one. There'll be a couple things I have. I talked with on Extra Innings, maybe that do sprinkle into this, but I obviously haven't talked to you guys about it on the show. So let's start with something, though, I did learn yesterday. So after his media availability, I did catch up with Pablo Lopez, who, by the way, is a confirmed Office fan. I'm a big fan of The Office, and we do the Pablo Day meme that AJ made with me and my face on Stanley and Michael. He is a big Office fan. He binged the whole thing in COVID. But specifically, yesterday he mixed in a lot of his pitches, almost all of them, very evenly too. And there was a little bit of a fear, I think, about a few starts ago of, is everything all right with Pablo? Velo was down a little bit. The weather was cold, but he just doesn't look maybe as sharp as your ace should be. Well, yesterday in the last two starts, I think we can kind of put that to bed. He's looking really damn good. And one of the things I wanted to ask him about, because yesterday his curveball was working especially well, a lot of swings and misses. And he said he wanted to make a conservative effort to use all of his pitches yesterday. But I asked him after the media availability, I said, what about that curveball? Because the curve seemed to be your better pitch yesterday. It was getting a ton of swings and misses. You were relying on it for the first time in a little bit. And he said that, yeah, it was easily the best, the pitch he felt the best about in yesterday's start. Keep in mind, too, he doesn't throw that pitch a ton. So he'll mix in his four-seamer, his sweeper, his changeup. But his curveball is kind of fourth in that repertoire. And yesterday you saw it thrown double-digit times, I believe 5 swings and misses on it. So Pablo Lopez developing a nice little curveball here that has a whiff percentage, by the way, of 46%. So when he's throwing that thing, they are swinging and missing at it a ton. I think you might see a little bit more curveballs from your Twins ace, Pablo Lopez, going
So
forward.
we can stop panicking about Pablo Lopez, it sounds like.
Also
right?
true. Yeah,
he's back in line. If you look to it's only been 8 starts. He's only a quarter of the way through the season, but he had a career high strikeout rate last year. His strikeout rate is even higher this year. His walk rate is lower than it already is, and it's already a low walk rate. And the ERA has kind of fallen back in line with his peripheral numbers, like his fielding independent pitching, his expected ERA, all the stuff is career high stuff through the first 8 games. He did look a little rickety there with the eye test for a couple games, but yeah, it's a good sign that we don't have to freak out about the Twins' first ace basically since Johan Santana.
And that was the sweeper that he worked on in spring training of 23, correct?
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, he threw his, and he's still throwing his sweeper a good amount, but that curve, has an expected batting average of 201. The whiff percentage, again, at 46%. It's actually been a good put-away pitch for him, too, 22% of his pitches. He's a guy that throws a lot of his pitches evenly, but, you talk about a dude that has a nasty sweeper and now maybe adding a nasty curveball to the mix. Look out, dude.
Let's go.
That trade looks really good now, too, you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. The Marlins are dumping.
Yep.
And the Twins have a surplus of infield. Arise is he's a great hitter, but Edward Julian just kind of stepped right in as a high OBP. He's not going to win the batting title, but a guy that gets on base and can slug a little bit more. It's a little bit like when the Twins traded AJ Pierzynski, got a haul back, including Francisco Liriano, and just put a better catcher in, Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
In some ways, not to directly compare Edward Julian to Joe Mauer, who's a baseball Hall of Famer, but it was a nice trade from a place of surplus.
Baseball.
Okay.
let's have a little bit of the Trevor Larnach discussion. I talked about this with AJ on Extra Innings, but I went up to Larnach this week and just asked, what's been different here? Like you look like a completely new hitter. You've always
stud.
been a fastball killer. Hey, Pat.
I thought
hey,
you sucked
stud.
before. Phil thought you were great, but I said you suck,
Dude,
and now you
I
don't
called
suck.
this. I called this.
Dude,
by the
I
way.
just gave you credit.
I know. I just realized I called this.
You were saying that.
So I went up to him and I've tried to figure out what's going on because his fastball, he's always been a fastball killer, but he's been a lot better on the secondary pitching. And I asked, what did you do here? What have you been doing? What would you say you do here, Trevor? And he said he changed agencies. So he switched agencies to the Bledsoe agency, which represents a bunch of baseball players. And he kind of basically redid his entire approach at the plate. And I brought up the examples that Trevor Plouffe shared with us a few weeks ago about sitting on off-speed pitching and having the lack of movement and being a lot more, just not lateral, but stiff, right? You're not going to be moving a ton in the box when you're trying to fight off that off-speed stuff. And that's been huge for him. He also kind of got rid of a little bit of that leg tap he used to have. He was trying to figure out what's comfortable, what's not comfortable. But he basically changed his agency approach, and I think that obviously then led to some big changes in the training and the way he goes about prepping for a baseball offseason. And you're literally watching him blossom here into the hitter he's supposed to be. He's hitting 3 in this order right now. That's been phenomenal for him. So him changing agencies has definitely been a big thing for him to becoming a more complete hitter finally.
Do you sense that that the Twins, starting, I guess, with Baldelli, but going above him, do you sense that they are closer to allowing him to hit more against lefties? He's still getting yanked out at times on that matchup, and that seems to be like the next progression of a potential trust tree. Yeah,
they still will prefer a right-handed bat against the lefty. They did that earlier this series as well. Kepler's been kind of the one that they do still trust lefty on lefty, even though historically he still really does struggle against lefties. I bet Trevor Larnach will get there in terms of, being able to get more of those ABs against lefties. And he's been DHing a ton. He had a little bit of I'll call it an LBI injury he was dealing with, but nothing that was hindering him obviously from being great at the plate. He was able to play right field yesterday, so he was in the field for the first time in a couple weeks, but his bat's been so good, they can't take him out of the lineup, so that's why he's been DHing a ton. But yeah, dude, he's finally blossoming into a really, really good pitcher.
The process of being successful in baseball is very complicated because it's really hard, and there's a million different things to consider, and it's you're literally trying to make contact with a guy throwing a 99-mile-an-hour rock with movement at you. Like, it's a very complicated sport, but when you look at the results, it can actually be pretty simple as you're trying to untangle, like, why is a guy more successful now than he was before? And with Trevor Larnach, his career strikeout rate going into this season was 34%. It's 21% this year. So he is striking out way, way, way less than he was in his first 3 partial years in the major leagues. And according to StatCast, his hard hit percentage has gone up from 40% when he entered the league to 56% this year. So strikeout way, way less, hit ball way, way harder, see better results. Like, it's simple when you lay it out that way, but it's obviously more complicated than that to actually do those things.
Baseball.
A couple other just kind of injury notes that I've gathered throughout the week that I'll share with you guys. So Brock Stewart, I believe, was dealing with some shoulder tendonitis. That's what it's technically diagnosed as, and he noticed it in the White Sox series on the road last week. So he was warming up, and he basically said something didn't feel right with his arm. Now that I believe the MRI showed there was even some little tiny stuff in the rotator cuff, which is the scary part because those are really tiny muscles, as he explained, and just one small little tweak can make things obviously kind of go kaput. He says it doesn't hurt walking around or picking up a ball, but you just have to be really careful. And he was a guy who dealt with some arm issues last year. So Brock Stewart, who is a very important part of that bullpen, probably on the shelf here for the next week or two. We'll wait and see what happens. He is going to stay back from this road trip. It sounds like actually Brock, Buck, Royce Lewis, they're going to go to game 4 of the Wolves game on Sunday. They're not going tonight. Apparently, even the ticket prices were even outrageous.
Dude,
for
it is
good
baseball
seats this
players.
time.
Yes, they have good seats this
So
time.
they aren't upper deck again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Those guys need to be sitting in the Lexus Club. Like, can we get those? Can we get the star Twins players a little lower for a
Yeah.
key player? For Vikings players, we'll show Jordan Addison sitting courtside.
Yeah, they're all
and
courtside.
like
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Brian
say.
O'Neill is hanging out. We
And
can't,
Royce Lewis
can't
is
get
like,
Royce Lewis in
Hey,
the
I'm
Lexus
up here in the
Club.
230s.
Oh man,
Which is and so I think they're going to be in a suite, I believe, for Sunday
Okay.
is what I heard.
That's more like it.
And Justin Topa, just kind of unfortunate here. So he's been rehabbing with the Saints. Last Friday, a week ago, he had a great outing. He said it was the best he had felt in months and thought, all right, I just need one more probably good outing because the velo was still down, but physically he said he felt the best he had felt. He goes out there on Sunday, 2 days later, 5 days ago, and he said the pain in the knee shot right back up, and there's a lot of discomfort. I think that will probably shut things down for a little bit. He had another MRI. I don't believe the results of that have been public yet or been revealed to a degree. But Topa, who looked like he was knocking on the door of coming right back into this lineup and being a very important part of the bullpen, probably taking a couple steps backwards in his return to the Twins, which is very, very unfortunate.
God, so that's just
And this goes back to the Mariners last season.
Yeah, he was asked, did you deal with this at all? Because the injury we were told happened in spring training, but he said he was dealing with this knee injury towards the end of last year with Seattle when he was with the Mariners. So a lingering, and it's a leg issue. Yeah. I guess there's a couple ways to look at that. All right, it's not his arm or his shoulder, which is obviously the more scarier parts for a pitcher, but this has been clearly a chronic knee issue for him, which then also makes pitching very, very hard.
It is incredible that this keeps happening, though. On one hand, to slightly defend the Twins, pitchers are getting hurt at a crazy rate across the entire league. So whether it's your own or someone that's coming over,
but a lingering knee
problem? Yeah, I know. It keeps happening.
And this now means 2/3 of that trade, and both guys that were at least anticipated maybe to contribute this season can't contribute.
Yeah.
3 guys, right? Minor league outfielder and the 2 pitchers.
The good news, though, Judd, he is under team control.
Oh, well then why didn't you say so, Dex?
For another couple of years beyond 2024. So
that's true.
And you know what? We goofed on Chris Paddock, team control. Did they give him an extension too, or is he still under? Yeah.
No, they gave him an extension.
But he's shoving a little bit.
The sheriff got an extension.
He has. His outfits and the day that he pitches are badass. He literally looks like a sheriff out of a Western film. It is, and he's like 6. He's a huge dude. So he looks like he is a sheriff.
He's like the Wyatt Earp of the Twins pitching staff. Just coming out there, wear some assless chaps to the mound.
It's the one thing he hasn't done.
Stop.
Last one quickly here before a random twin. Just let's watch Alex Kirilloff here over this next series with Toronto. He has been really struggling at the plate, pulling a lot more of those balls, getting on top of those balls, and not hitting with the exit velo and the way he was for the first few weeks of the season. I haven't heard he is hurt, but when a guy like that really his numbers nosedive over a good amount of sample size, and given Kirilloff's history of having some injuries with that wrist, and I believe even a shoulder injury which he had last year, just something to monitor here. If he continues to tailspin and play himself honestly down the lineup, I believe he was hitting as low as 6th or 7th in this last series against Seattle. If he continues to not be able to hit the ball, I wonder if something actually is going on.
Well, to that point, it feels like every time he has had a major dip in production, it's been because of an ailment, not because he forgot how to hit. Like the guy rolls out of bed and hits an 850 OPS.
Yeah.
And if he hasn't been hitting at a high level in the majors or the minors, it's because of whatever. Like it's been a wrist in the past, been a shoulder. So if he's struggling for a long time, I would tend to lean more towards something's bothering him as opposed to he's lost his ability.
He can't stay healthy too. So it's not beyond reason to think that. I just hope it's not the wrist.
Yeah. God,
at some point in time, I think the wrist is going. If it's the wrist again, I get very concerned about his future.
Yeah. So there it is. Dex Dishes. By the way, the Dex 2.0 plan going into this 16-game stretch against teams with really good records. You said if they can go 9-7, that'd be a great little 16-game record to keep them moving forward. Well, they're 5-2 so far, so they just have to go I guess 4-5 in the 9 games against the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Guardians, but they're ahead of pace on as Dex
Blue
carves up
Jays-
the schedule here.
The Blue Jays, you get a very good chance to win 2 or 3 there, or you should.
Yeah, they've been floundering. Last place in the American League East right now, 17 and 20. It's all of a sudden it's after that crazy bad start by the Twins. The Twins have the 4th best record in the American League behind only Baltimore, the Yankees, and the Guardians. Mm-hmm. So they've just snapped out of it really quick. So all right, baseball. It's time for a random twin of the week here. Declan has the clues. Old Macadax on a 5-week win streak. Ryan Domit, Craig Monroe, Al Newman, Dan Gladden, Eric Milton. Judd hasn't won in 10 weeks. 10-week losing streak. I have 16 wins all time. Declan 13, Judd with 10. It's Declan's turn to throw out the clues. And so, Judd, you and I, we can throw out answers whenever we want to. If one of us hits a third strike, the other person wins automatically. No Googling. Here we go.
Right. In fact, though, I do want to let me get the list called up so that I can look at past winners to confirm we haven't done somebody.
I will say this so we do this on Flagrant Howls as well. We do a random Wolf of the Week, and Ross gives us one clue and then a heat check guess that doesn't count among our 3 strikes. We could incorporate that at some point, just like a home run derby swing after the first clue.
I like that. That's good. Heat check.
Oh, we have time this week, though.
Let's go heat check.
All right. You good, Judd?
Yep, I got the list.
Okay. This random twin of the week played in 982 Major League Baseball games.
Okay.
Across 2 different decades.
Two decades, okay.
This random twin of the week, career OPS on base plus slugging was 673. In those 9 years, though, he played in at least 100 games. 6 of those 9 years, he played in at least 100 games.
That's a long time to play with a crappy OPS.
Yeah. At least 100 games.
I'm going to control F here. Would Declan do it? Would Declan do this? Maybe. Okay.
This random twin of the week hit 58 home runs in his major league career. 58.
Wow.
And this random twin wore the same number throughout his entire major league career. This random twin of the week was born in Kansas, went to high school in Kansas, went to college in Kansas.
Educated young man. Educated. Kansas. Okay.
I do
This
have a
random-
guess, but I don't know. I'll take another clue. I'll take another clue.
I've got a guess. Yep.
This random twin of the week debuted at age 24 and played his last game at age 33.
Is it Jason Bartlett?
Jason
guess.
Bartlett.
That was my guess, just so you know.
Okay.
Is incorrect.
Oh, good.
The crappy OPS is I feel like is a huge clue.
I think Bartlett debuted before he was 24 too. I feel like he was a young,
probably right. You're
a young
probably right.
debut.
This random twin of the week played the same position for the first 8 years of his career and then moved to a new position his last year of his career.
Jason Bartlett.
Same position 8 years.
Yep. He did dabble in a few random things, but he was
Sure.
primarily one position.
And so you have not said, just to be very clear here, you have not said if this random twin, how many other teams he played for, right?
I have not said that.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just want to make sure.
This random twin of the week is currently 55 years old.
Okay. So
No.
Pat Mears.
Ding, ding, ding. Pat
Let's go.
Mears.
Let's
Son of
go,
a-
dude. Come on,
Son
Judd.
of
Come
a...
on, Judd. You gotta go. Let's go.
I'm
Oh my
trying
God,
to
I
get
was-
Judd back in. I'm going wheelhouses of mid-90s Twins.
I so
I saw
close.
Pat, I think I saw Pat Mears' first career home run. I feel
really?
like that happened at the Metrodome when my dad and I were sitting.
God, you guys, I didn't want to say you're on the when you said Bartlett. I was like, well, you're close. You're
Oh
sniffing
my
around the
God.
position.
That's twice now. The Gladden and the Mears ones. I was so close. I was sniffing right around it.
Wow, 6 consecutive
DFA.
victories for old Macadac here.
DFA'd by the Twins.
Yeah,
So yeah, he was
Pirates
a
and
shortstop. Went to the Pirates. He
Yep.
was very
DFA'd
very
him, though,
highly
was
touted.
Shocking.
He took over for Greg Gagne. He was going to be the heir
Yeah,
apparent.
and he actually wasn't a bad player, but the Twins freaking went cheap on his ass. Son, that's twice now. I've been freaking. I'm like in the neighborhood. I'd get. Oh, son of a.
Let's remember Pat Mears for Twins Pirates, and then also 1-game shortstop for both those teams. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, yes, he did play short. He moved to second at the end.
Okay.
He played second
That's
his
what
last
moved
year.
over.
With
He was a
Pittsburgh, but-
great defensive player. Not a very good offense.
No.
He could
No,
hit a
was
little
solid
bit, but
for
yeah,
shortstop.
yep.
All right.
So
okay,
there it is. All
I
right,
gotta
Judd's
go.
got to go watch JJ
gotta
McCarthy
go.
at
I gotta
practice
go.
here. 11
I
consecutive
don't have time for this
losses for
anymore.
Judd, or 11 weeks without a win for Judd. Score North Twin Show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see if they can keep the winning ways going through the next weekend here.
Yeah.